All right, so welcome to the Franklin Township Board of Supervisors workshop meeting. I will call the meeting to order, the May 2nd, 2022 meeting to order at 7 p.m. In attendance is Vice Chairperson Donna D. We don't have Nancy on, so we have Supervisors Jim Johnson and Don Dowling. And also in attendance are the Township Operations Manager, Jeff Eastburn, and the Township Controller and Office Manager, Melissa Ortega. And there is two members of the public. So let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Now I would like to open the meeting up to public comment. This public comment can include any comments relating to current agenda items. If you'd like to speak and make a comment, you must state your name and whether you are a resident of the township or a non-resident taxpayer of the township. If you do not identify yourself, your comments will not be included in the official minutes. Are there any public comments related to agenda items? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to our first. I'll take Nancy's stuff since she's not here. We'll go to our first order of business, which is Resolution 2022-08 to support the need for a permanent home for Medic 94 SCC EMS. And okay, I was wondering if you wanted to say something. And then today we have Bob Hotchkiss to discuss the resolution.
Do you want me to second it or?
Oh, we don't have a motion. We're just discussing it, and then I'll read the motion.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you. Great to see everybody in person. With me is Harold Walls, who is a Franklin Township resident and the chairman of our board of directors. The EMS board of directors is made up of members of West Grove Fire Company, Avondale Fire Company, and Oxford, Union of Oxford. And then the rest of our members are members of the general public that live around the area. So Harold is joining me tonight to talk and answer your questions. A couple of things. I kind of want to go over kind of where we are right now with the closing of the hospital. I sent something out a little earlier since we're 4 months into this morning. Our call volume's up 19%. Our average call's up 20%. We went from an average call of 64 minutes up to 77 minutes. And our average transport time was up 31%. That from 85 minutes to 112 minutes to do a call. With that, the closing of the hospital, one of the things we did is we added additional staff during our peak time, which is usually about 10 hours a day, 9 to 7 is our peak time. And we've incurred an additional $37,000 additional staffing costs, additional fuel costs from the additional mileage, and some additional supply costs. So it's cost us so far an extra $43,000 this year, which we have taken out of savings to make sure that we have the capacity out there to provide the paramedic service to the community. The impact's been pretty significant. It's been significant on us, significant on our basic life support partners, the law enforcement, and the community at large. It's been significant. While we are somewhat encouraged that something is around the corner and that there will be a new owner that would open the hospital up sometime this year, nothing's official. So we currently are in the building. We asked Tower Health for a 90-day to stay in the building. We stayed there through March, and then when there was no change, we asked for another 90 days. So we're there through July 1st, and our hope is that somebody will come in there July 1st, and before July 1st and say, "Hey, can we stay?" We've been in that building for 39 years. We were part of the hospital organization when they first formed the medic unit, and they had a little garage for us. In 1995, they built our current garage, which is enough for 2 paramedic units and 4 offices in there. We've outgrown the offices, and we've learned a valuable lesson that if your landlord goes away, you might need to go away. So what has happened is we had a lease with the hospital through 2026. So we had always had in our mind that in 2026, we're going to have to start making plans to go elsewhere. The closing of the hospital moved that date up. And one of the opportunities we had was Penn Township had a piece of land over there at Generous Pond Road and Old Baltimore Pike that they own. There's a house on there currently, which will be vacated here in about 3 weeks. And their thought was at some point we'll build a paramedic station there because it's great location because we go east and west on Old Baltimore Pike and go down Generous Pond Road and go south on 896. So or we can hop on Route 1. So the location is perfect, like almost dead center in our district. So it was a project. Hey, we've kind of talked about it a little bit, and it's going to be something down the road. Then came about the rescue plan money that the county has. And our board and the board of Penn Township said, here's an opportunity. There's only a 3-week application period, which I think is over the 14th of May. Why don't we be co-applicants to get some of that rescue plan money to pay for the building of a paramedic station there? Depending on where you look at, it's going to be a $700,000 or $800,000 project. But the goal would be if we can make an application that this has regional impact with the other municipalities that we serve, it would help carry additional weight for that application. And the thought was, let's get all of our municipal partners to come up with a resolution that say we support this project. And we're also going to go, the township is also going to go to local Generous Pond and other entities and say, can you do a letter of support? So the municipal piece is the resolution. The local community is letters of support to build this packet. So when we apply here at the end of next week, we have it built as a regional project, hoping that would build more likelihood that it would be funded. We're going to ask for the full amount. I think it was $850. I think we're going to ask $850,000 for the full amount because the guesstimate is this is probably going to be the high amount, $850. Let's go in, apply for the $850 and see where we are with that type of funding. But this is, again, we were looking 2024 to start looking for 2026. This money is there. And this is a golden opportunity for us to build the station. The goal eventually would be the township would own the building, the township would own the land, and we would have a long-term $1 a year lease or something like that to be in the building. It would address our ability to not outgrow it. We would kind of build it for the future. And we're pretty sure the township won't go out of business like the hospital did. So this is something that we've, again, asked all of our municipal partners if they could support a resolution, pass a resolution in support of that we would put along with our application packet to the county for the rescue plan money.
I got a couple questions.
Sure.
One, I'm assuming you've talked to Penn Township and they would be fine with owning the land and,
Yes.
and maintaining the land.
Yes.
So that's really positive. The other thing is that, I mean, we'll vote as a board, but I'm supportive of agreeing to that. But if you don't get all the money, that's a whole other different conversation, right? You'll come back and we'll have that conversation. But we need you.
Right.
What you do is important work. So I think we would be very open to those conversations. But my third question has to do, and this is actually concerning to me. I knew it was going to cost you more money, but so we did hike up the cost. I mean, the amount of money, but you still had to take $43,000 out of savings. It's not covering it. So the additional money that we're paying in is not helping you.
What we're doing is we're fronting the money. We're fronting that money and then hoping that the municipality when we first asked about for the additional money, we said, don't pay us up front because we don't know. Maybe the hospital could open in October. We won't need that entire amount.
Okay.
So we've been trying to like every quarter, every month to try to see where we are. And my thought is probably at 6 months in July, we're going to front this money and hope that we can get some of that money paid back.
Okay.
From all the municipalities and say, this is what it's cost us for 6 months. Because we originally asked for $200,000, but we got a state $50,000 of that 200,000. We got a grant from Senator Comita that took care of the capital piece of that. So now it's based on 150. And there are times where we can't staff the third truck. We're short on personnel. So our costs are going to be probably less
Right.
So we gave that estimate of where we thought we would be if we didn't get a grant and if we were able to staff that extra truck every single day, which we haven't. And the one thing that was a surprise to us, we weren't expecting as much of a fuel cost impact. Well,
Yeah,
some of that
that's
was
right.
fuel costs, and we don't have to pay taxes on it, which is good. But still, it's a combination of the higher fuel taxes, higher fuel burn, and also the higher fuel prices. So that has actually been a little bit more of a surprise to us. So
Right.
it's kind of been like personnel fees are a little bit less than we expected, but fuel was a little higher. So our hope was probably here in July, we'll say this is the impact for 6 months.
Right.
And we thought it was going to be this. It's probably a little different, probably a little bit less. And then our municipal partners could, because many of the municipalities said, hey, we'd like to help fund that. We're going to put extra money in our budget. You just need to update us where we are financially, if it's going to be lower. So I suspect it's going to be a little bit lower, but
I would make a
Yeah. but I'm just saying, who knows? So I mean,
Yeah. I just want,
Yeah.
the news I wanted, because I didn't know whether it's, we had all agreed to that
Yes.
additional money. I
Yes.
didn't know whether you had to take another $43,000 out in addition to the money that we
No.
agreed to. And that's what I
our
wanted
agreement
to
is we're going to
clarify.
front that money, take
Got
it
it.
out of reserves, and hopefully get that put back in.
Okay, thank you.
Don or Jim, do you have questions for Bob?
No, thank you, Donna, because you cover most of what I have.
Right, and what you're saying is you didn't spend the township's money yet. You're spending your money first.
We're
Is that
spending
what
our
you're
money first. Yeah, because we're just going to determine how long we need it. I'm really hoping we don't go a full year, but we just don't know at this point.
saying? Okay.
So the added call you had on your slide that we were showing was an added call time and added call volume.
Right.
So the added call time is the assumption is you're going to other hospitals. You're not going to
Right.
Jennersville. The call volume, is that all COVID related, or is it just what?
Not a lot of COVID. We're not seeing a lot of COVID.
What's going on there?
It's people that may have driven to the hospital before are saying, I don't want to drive that far. We're going to call for,
Okay.
it is with our basic life support partners. Sometimes, hey, we're just right up the street. We can be at the hospital in 2 minutes. Why ask? We're going to be at Jennersville in 2 minutes. Why have the medic unit involved? Where now I've got a 20-minute transport time. So what can happen to a patient in 2 minutes is different than 20 minutes. Let's have the paramedics come in. We're taking 2/3 of our patients out of state right now between Union Hospital, Christiana Hospital, and AI DuPont.
Wow.
So we used to bring 55% to Jennersville. So that's been, and there's been challenges. Some of the hospitals, we wait an hour, 2 hours to get the patient transferred. But an example is we used to go to Union Hospital twice a year. We go 17 times a month now. So Union has actually been, because it's pretty close to the border, and a lot of people have said, hey, that's part of Christiana Care now. Let's go down there. So that has actually helped in many ways. We didn't calculate that in. We thought it'd be Christiana and Chester County which did get the majority, but that has been kind of a little bit of a relief valve because you get down there, turn around pretty quick and come back.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, most of our patients are going out of state, and it's been challenging on the medics. Our response times are still good. That really hasn't changed. It's just that length of total time that has actually increased significantly.
The other question that I had was just the facility that you're building. Can you talk a little bit about that and what the scope of that project is?
Sure. Our goal is to build a pole barn type building, which will have room for 4 of our vehicles in it. So it's about 30 by 40, 30 by 35. And the initial vision is we'd have 2 wings off of it. One wing would be the 24/7 operation where the paramedics are there. You'd have all their quarters, charting area. And the other area would have a training room, which could almost be a backup emergency operations center if you needed, and the administrative end. So at night you could actually turn the HVAC down and stuff like that. We really also want to make it a smart building. So let's put solar in it. Let's put geothermal in it. So the costs that we're going to incur, like utilities, will be decreased if we can make it a smart building and get some grants also for that. But yeah, that's kind of what we're envisioning: pulp type barn with administrative and facilities for the vehicles.
So you had said that Penn would own the land and the building?
And the building.
And so what are we paying for? The construction of the building. It's their land.
Right.
So it's township land. It's not,
Yes.
they're not
Township
buying
land, township building. Yes. We don't want to own the building. We don't want to own that.
Right.
As you know, the primary medic unit for Franklin Township comes out of Penn Township.
Sure.
Right now. So that's your now some parts of the eastern part of the township comes out of New Garden. We have a medic unit also at Avondale Firehouse.
Mm-hmm.
So some pieces they come in from that direction. But yes, that's the primary response area. And while you know that truck does serve the western part of it, also the administrative and serves the whole all of the 17 townships. You know, whether it be training or the supervisors or myself serves everybody.
I guess as I was asking the question, I realized I was jumping a step.
Because we're not really.
We're not. This was if you don't get the grant money. I was jumping a step, but
That's another discussion.
but that'll be another discussion.
Because you need this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so let's just say hypothetical. I think this is a good opportunity. As you said, the time seems to be right for this, right? The money's there. Let's take advantage of it if we can. But if this new buyer comes in and buys General Hospital and says, all right, Medic 94, we got facilities for you. Why don't you come back and move in? Is that something that you would entertain, or would you really just rather go whole hog?
I would entertain. Can we stay there till the new place is built? I don't know. I don't have a restroom in our offices.
Yeah.
And you know, unfortunately, when they let us stay, but they don't let us use the restroom. That was their deal. You could have your quarters. You know, I don't have a sink in our area, so we have to go into the emergency room for the sink. We have to go in the emergency room.
So it's really not ideal.
It's not ideal. In 1996, it was state of the art.
You're renting the garage.
We're renting a garage and some space, and we've outgrown that space. So there's certain things we can't even. The storage is one big thing there.
Yeah, you need something real.
Yeah. So and it would have a lot more stability. Again, the township's not going away, but who knows what their vision is for the future. And but if we can stay there for a couple of years until this is built, that would be optimal.
Okay, so the 700 to 800 is just to build the building.
Yeah, we're
Building
thinking. I think
facilities and all
850.
that.
Do we have 850? We looked at renovating the house and building a pole barn. And we said no, it's cheaper actually to knock the whole thing down and just build from scratch. There's a single story. Garage and with the administrative offices there.
And I don't have the quote here with me, but I think the quote ranged from 725 all the way to 850. And the 850 was on that high side of the money being spent.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say with inflation,
Yeah.
you got to go with the 850, right? You have to.
Yeah.
So I guess the other question I have is just a general, general information question. There's a number of, we have West Grove Fire Company and the Avondale Fire Company, and they all have EMS as well and serve the region. So do you have what the right word is, reciprocity, where you co-use equipment and calls, and maybe you build a big EMS facility using all those groups?
Can I correct one thing you just said?
Please do.
They have a BLS system at the fire companies,
Right.
basic life support.
Oh, okay.
EMS is a step above that.
Okay, so something
Yeah,
new for me.
And they're all
Perfect.
partner organizations. They're all part of our board. And
Okay.
we envisioned one of the things when we looked at the size of the thing, we said we need to, if there was a type of an emergency or something like that, could we be able to back an ambulance in there? Just because, or we have a training night or something. And
Right.
yes, it has to be able to fit. Our current garage would fit an ambulance in there if we need to. But just to have a facility that if we got in a jam and we need to relocate, because that's also the center of our district. So, hey, could you relocate an ambulance up there because everybody's busy? Be able to back in there and fit in the facility.
Okay, great. Okay, so Nancy, do you have any questions for Bob?
I don't, and my apologies for being late. I literally could not believe it was 7:17.
Okay, so we will just move. Any other discussion before we move on? If Don or Jim have any other questions?
Dave, I have one more question.
Sure.
For Bob, do you through April now, if we don't, if no one does come to the hospital, do you think you're running on schedule for what you budgeted this year with the inflated gas and maybe even the human resource costs?
I think given the grant and given that what we staffed, I think I don't think it'll be more. I think it'll be a little bit less is what I'm thinking. Because you had the standard funding that you did initially, and then we asked for that additional, we used the same formula thinking it was going to be $200,000. Well, 50,000 came off of that. So my hope is we'll use that same formula. Let's plug in the actual costs as of July 1st. And then you would get a more accurate, here's the supplemental, it changed because this is our actual cost. So again, I haven't been able to staff that truck every day. We've probably staffed it 80% of the time. So that's going to decrease that, and we've decreased with the grant. So it'll probably be based on, my guess is it'll probably, looking at 43, you're probably looking at maybe the total would be 70-ish thousand broken up among all the municipalities. And then we just drop it in that formula and send that out and say, this is what we would ask for the additional.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions before we move on to the resolution?
David, John Auerbach, if you want any of the budget numbers, I have them handy if you wanted to know what they were.
I think we're all right. I don't think we
Okay.
need the budget. Yeah.
Okay. No problem.
Thank you. Okay, so let me read this. I make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-08 to support the need for a permanent home for Medic 94 SCC EMS. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, thank you, Donna. Any further discussion before we vote? Okay, so all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
The first one, so
yeah.
16 more to go.
I would hope. No
So
one
thank
would
you.
be.
Good luck. Yeah. Okay, this is you, Donna.
Yeah, I think I'll be turning it over to Jeff. So this has to do with the Holmesy property. We're going to have Mark come and give us an update, but there's some work that needs to be done before he can come to us. Jeff, I don't know if you want to update the group or.
No, that's fine. I can do that.
Okay, great, thank you.
There I am. I had 4 phone calls today related to the Holmesy property easement. I feel that we're closer than we've ever been before, but what's going to happen is now Mark Thompson is going to reach out and talk to the Holmesy solicitor, talk about some language, and then the board, I would ask that the board have an executive session, I would say in the next week and a half. And then this would automatically go on the May 18th board meeting. So both Mark Thompson and I had a chance to talk to Robin of Natural Lands Trust today and a couple of other people. So I think we're on a good path forward, but I'll let the board know when we can have this executive session.
Yeah, I think it's just, Mark suggested we do an exec session, and it's just work. It's all about legalese wording, and I think it's important that the whole board gets together, here's the options, and we are all in agreement in terms of what we do next. And I think it's just a matter of getting through it.
I think from talking to Mark today and talking to you today and kind of reading his email, my inclination, my feeling is that there really isn't that much of a dilemma.
Nope.
It's kind of like an advanced game of telephone, people going back and forth, quibbling over kind of minor wording, and all they really need to do is just get in the same room and just say, okay, let's change this to a the and that to a that, and we'll move on. So I think it's pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of just getting everybody talking. And at least that was my take. I don't know if anyone has a disagreement there, but it seems.
Well, it can get complicated. And I don't want to, I think we should save it for the executive session in terms of liability and who's liable. I do have a question for Jeff. Jeff, assuming we get this trail, we've done trails before. Is a township, do we have an active role? Do we mow? Like, is a trail just like, yes, you can walk here, or do you need to like have a path, or is it different for different properties?
It's been different for different properties. Like for the Ford Farm, as an example, we now mow that once a week.
Okay.
Now for the Banffshire property, that's taken care of by volunteers.
Okay. So somebody has to do something.
Someone does something to it. I would say Ford Farm gets more attention than Banffshire, I'm guessing, and that's a total guess.
Okay.
Paul Overton puts in a lot of time over there, and so does some of the other pro committee members.
And for the Holmesy property, would you assume that we'd be mowing it every week, or we just don't know?
At this point, I don't know. I'm happy to do whatever the board wishes.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know what our obligation was in terms of maintaining it. I know we're not building anything but what makes a trail versus, yeah, you can work, now you have the ability to walk there.
I mean, I think we also have like in Crossin, again, I'm speaking out of ignorance here, but we also have those Crossin trails where no one mows anything. It's just a dirt path that people walk along.
Might be twice a year just to get through the sticker bushes and everything.
Right. Like, so, I mean, it could be very, very minimal. It could be.
Right. Or it could be like the Ford Farm.
I mean, there'll be no reason not
It's
to.
also volunteer work too, right? At Crossing.
Yeah,
It's also
there's a lot of volunteers.
Yeah. And I think, well, I mean, we'll get to that discussion when it's time,
Right.
but all right.
Okay, so I think that's just where we're at until we have the exec session and work through the legal wording.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll turn it back to you.
Dawn, do you want to talk a little bit about the farmer's market and craft day?
Do I? Absolutely. I'm so excited because Jeff can tell us a little bit. He's working with both the Amish families in our township, and they are excited about doing a farmer's market, even if it's every other Saturday morning or something, just to get initial attention. And then I've talked to 3 people about doing a plant exchange. I talked to Greg Sachs's wife about doing more of a crafty thing. I've talked to St. John, Lisa St. John, about doing the craft thing. But I think what we need is to just start with the farmer's market and then add on. So I think if it becomes a really popular thing, then we can see, I think the major concern of what we wanted to know is if we should charge for a space. And I've always felt that in the initial stages, we probably don't need to. It's it's up to everybody else, but.
Well, I agree with you, Dawn. I think it's a nice service to the public. It's certainly not going to cost us much, assuming that people clean up after themselves. And I also agree that we start small and not commit too many things. So that makes sense.
Right. And I've spoken to the 3 Amish families, and if we're able to pick a date, that works with their schedule and vice versa, they have agreed that, they will clean up after the event and make sure it looks like it did before they came.
That's great.
So when we talk about an Amish farmers market, would it just be the local Amish, or would it whatever they sell down on the?
Well, for right now, I think we were talking about the 3 or 4 local families.
Mm-hmm.
So they do chicken barbecue.
Okay.
They do the donuts. The family in the southern region does plants. The family in the northern region does more produce. So they all seem interested. Right now, they're working from they started this past Saturday, and then they're going to go every other weekend. They're going to be in the township. So they're going to try and fit us in between. Normally, they're down there at the farm with the greenhouse. They work together. So they may bump one of theirs or add an addition to come out to the park one Saturday with the leagues. I'd love to set it up with them because more customers, more people coming in.
Yeah, I think it's great. I don't know, it's their business. I was just wondering about frequency, and is every 2 weeks too much or too, or is it, should we have a monthly farmer's market? I mean, it's up to them because it's they're putting themselves out. We have, Crossing Park's going to be there regardless. It's really what's best for them.
My conversations with them is let's try it the one time and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
To see if we can add to it.
Okay.
And Jeff, just for sensitivity's sake, if any resident says, how come I can't do this? Say, come talk to us. If you're interested, come talk to us.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And Jeff, I think it's a good idea to have it one time, and then we get back together and find out what went right, what went wrong. And
Correct.
maybe we can tune it up to like the right, how we think it might go best.
Right. And I did have the opportunity to speak to Carrie Kiernan at the recommendation of Dawn. And their son does do, I call it decorative artwork, decorative metal artwork. So I know Mom and Dad were very interested in him attending, and he's supposed to give me a call over the next week. So he could be a candidate to be out there who has a booth or a presenter or part of the program.
When did we think we wanted to start this?
I think that's something Dawn and I are going to have to talk out
All right.
and then work with the Kiernan family, the Plan Exchange. Dawn had that idea, and then the Amish, and see what we can come up with. But I think if you approve the concept of it, we could move forward with it.
So I guess that we don't need a motion or anything, but I think the easiest way to do this is anybody against this concept? I don't think anybody is. So I think you have approval to go ahead and do your thing. I think it's an
Okay.
awesome idea, and I hope it is incredibly successful. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So do I. Yep, it should be.
We're very excited about it. I think, and I've talked to somebody that does local honey, and I talked to 3 people that have plants. We could do a plant exchange. I just think it would be a really nice community. And then if we start making money, all the better. But I just think it would be a really nice project.
Yeah, I think it's great. I
Well,
think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it's a good start to get the parks and, open space recognized for things.
Hey,
That's
Dawn.
great, Jeff. Yep. So many people just don't know what an amazing park that is.
I'm sorry, Jim, did you have a question of me?
Just at Dawn, what is a plant exchange? Somebody brings a plant and they trade?
Gardeners around here, there are plants. Plants are very expensive.
Yeah.
So yes, when you have plants that spread, I have lilies of the valley. I want heliobores. So you bring different things from your garden and you trade them. And I've done them at parties. I've done them with other people, and it's an awesome thing. You don't have to pay for them. You bring whatever you bring, you can trade with people. So it works out real well.
I never heard of that. It's great. Yeah.
Can you trade money for the plants? Because that's, I think, all I've got.
I got a lot
We
of
can make
dandelions.
some kind of deal.
Can people trade for dandelions? I got plenty.
Oh, I got plenty of those. They spread. They're a good spreader. All right. Well, good. That's a great idea. So, well, we're moving through this a lot faster than I thought, Jeff. So I think we're already at our 2022 road program. I don't think I have much to say on the matter other than we put the bids in and you can give us a brief update.
Sure, I would be happy to. We did have the bid opening today for our major 2022 road programming, our road program. We did have a sole bidder, and Ron evaluated the bid. He feels that it's a fair price, everything that we've looked for. And it would be the same contractor as last year, Long's Paving. And their bid came in at $178,077.30. But it's important to note this is for manpower and equipment. We would still need to buy the asphalt, which we would do through the CoStars program. So all in all, with today's asphalt prices, and I stress the word today's prices, we're looking at a project at $430,000. So I would ask the board tonight to please approve Long's asphalt bid for $178,077.30. And this covers mill and pave of Heather Hills development. It includes a portion of Parsons Road starting at the London Britton Township line up towards Thompson Estates. And then this also does Churchill Road roughly between Creek Road and Queen Lane. And it's important to note this is again for paving. Right now, Ron Reagan and I have someone out doing survey work. They've completed Churchill Road for inlet boxes and stormwater. They've started on Old Schoolhouse Road with the embankment. They're going to end this week with the stream and move on to Heather Hills embankment issue, and then the water issue at Mackey Court. The one at Mackey Court is one that we had booted from last year, unfortunately, because there were items in the field that we had discovered that weren't on the plans themselves. So tonight would be approving just the paving portion of this. Ron and I hope to be back in a couple of weeks to present the stormwater bids to the board for their approval to put out the bid.
So Jeff, do we need to make a motion and pass it?
Yes, to award the bid to Long's Paving in the amount that I had given you.
Jeff, before we do that, I don't have my numbers with me, but, and maybe it's a Melissa question. Is the 430,000, which I know is just an estimate, you don't know what asphalt's going to cost. Is that in line with what we had originally budgeted?
We're actually $30,000 under from what
Okay,
we had
so we're
originally
probably-
budgeted.
So there's a little room because the prices is only going one way, right?
There's
Yeah.
there's a little room, and it all depends on the war in Europe and.
Exactly, I got you. So we're not too far off from what.
Correct.
That's good news. Thanks.
Correct.
So let me just go around the horn real quick to see if anybody has any questions. Don, do you have any questions or comments on the road program?
No, I'm going to follow your lead on this one.
Okay. Jim?
No, I'm clear. We're good.
Okay. Nancy?
Nope, I think it's great. I was very happy with their work this past year.
All right. So I'm going to just go ahead and read the motion. I propose a motion to accept Ron Reagan's recommendation to approve the 2022 road paving program bid from Long's Asphalt received today, May 2nd, 2022, in the amount of $178,077.30, which includes labor and equipment. The asphalt will be purchased through the Pennsylvania CoStars program. May I have a second, please?
A second.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Any further discussion? Okay, not hearing any. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank
And then I will be sure to keep the board up to date once we start getting the survey information in and Ron and I come to a solution for some of these. Some of them aren't as easy as they first looked, but we'll get through it.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Jim, do you want to take the next?
Yep. Next is a request to get an authorization to advertise an ordinance for 2 township roads to become trails. I make a motion to authorize our solicitor's office to advertise an ordinance, 1, to designate Mount Olivet Road as a bicycle, pedestrian, and equestrian use trail between Strickersville Road and Walker Road, and 2, to designate a portion of Franklin Road as a bicycle, pedestrian, and equestrian trail to use, consisting of approximately 1,820 linear feet between the property located at 90 Franklin Road, identified as tax parcel 72-4-35.2, and the property located at 16 Franklin Road, identified as tax parcel 72-4-35.1. Can I have a second?
I'll second that, Jim.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Any discussion?
So this just for some context, this is closing two roads. That one road has been ostensibly closed permanently for the last few years, and then which was Walker Road, and then the second, Franklin Road, is a road that we don't maintain in the wintertime. So it's pretty much closed during the winter months. We have a number of security issues on Franklin Road. People dump on that road, have parties on that road. Mount Olivet Road used to have very similar problems until it was gated off. And so we hope to minimize that. That's something that costs the township. And then two, it'll just be an improvement for the residents in the area. We've talked to the residents. I think we talked about this at our last board meeting, so we don't need to belabor the point too much, but we've talked to the residents that will be impacted. They're all in favor, very supportive, overwhelmingly so. So I'm pretty comfortable going ahead and calling for a vote. So, and if you wanted a more deeper discussion, we had it at our last board meeting in April. So if you're a resident and are interested in that, you can go back there. So any further comments or discussion?
Yeah, I do have a comment to make. So I think Jeff should be recognized for his leadership role. I mean, these were dreams of yours, Jeff, for I don't know how long. And I think you were very persistent in a positive way and reached out to the right people. You brought people in from Chester County, brought engineers. I mean, you brought everybody together to make sure that we looked at it. We had questions answered. You talked to the residents. I just can't say enough about your leadership in this particular initiative, and I just want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you very much.
That's a very good point, because it's no small feat to get people from the county to show up and people from the state to show up, people from PennDOT to show up. Not only to answer your phone calls, but to show up in person in this office and walk the roads with us. It's an amazing feat. So absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else? So Don, Jim, or Nancy, any further comments?
I'm all for it.
All right. So let's go to the vote. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Jeff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
And hey, did we bet on how long this thing's going to last?
Well, once the Homsey property left, would have been an unfair bet, because that would have.
This is a fast one. All right, so we're going to open up to public comments. This public comment can include comments on anything attendees may want to share. Comments must state their name and whether they are a township resident or a taxpayer of the township. Any public comment? What do we have from the public?
That's John Auerbach. I guess listening to Bob Hotchkiss' presentation, he indicated that his normal costs, fuel and other issues, are probably going to go up. So you might want to pay attention to his costs, because we increased the budget 53% from last year to cover costs that he asked us for back in November. So it's a potential growth item you need to pay attention to. So, the other questions related to the Mount Olivet Bridge, which is the bridge on that road that's close to Stricklerville. That road was closed because that bridge was in poor condition for vehicles. You need to make any improvements to that bridge to make it suitable for pedestrians and equestrians?
Yes.
Well, I'll let Jeff go into detail, but when we talked to the state about that bridge, they made some suggestions for improvements, but essentially their comment was, as long as it's below whatever it's rated, which is I think 20 tons, 18 to 20 tons, something like that, the road will essentially be, I forget what the word was, but it's not impacted by foot and pedestrian traffic. So we don't necessarily need to do any improvements. The bridge is sound for pedestrian and foot traffic, horses, that kind of thing. Where the township has to do some work is farm equipment. We need to start talking to the local farmers because that will cause wear and tear on the bridge, and the township is not interested in being liable for that. So we're going to work with them to figure out a good solution to that problem. I don't know, Jeff, if you have any other color to add to that.
I know we've had conversations with Lexi Rose from DCNR. So she is working with a local farmer regarding access to see how he can enter one or two of the fields versus going over that bridge. And that's the county bridge. Now the stone bridge on the other side, that will need some repairs as well. And I've done some advanced work with the Pico Green Region grant, and they seem to like the idea of us submitting an application to start the repairs on that stone structure. And working with Mr. Noland on the end, who lives at Strickersville and Mount Olivet, he's a contractor, and he's agreed to assist the township in obtaining estimates for the repair of that bridge. The stone structure, I should say, sorry, the stone structure. Regarding the county bridge, both Ron Reagan and I have been in contact with the county, and we've given them our list of repairs that we expect them to do before taking over that bridge. So the county response has been positive so far, really no pushback, and they seem very happy that we're doing this and have agreed to help us obtain grant monies to maintain it as a trail. She felt that she could put me in touch with the right people for that. Janet from the county.
Yeah, but I think the good point out, John, and I want to make sure that you're aware of, the county has agreed. They said, tell us what you want us to do before we hand it over to you. Give us the list, and we'll take it to our people. So, like you said, Jeff, they were really open to, well, first of all, the bridge is in pretty good shape to begin with. But they, if there's things that we want that Ron identifies, they're very open to it. They said, give us a list.
Yeah.
They have our list. So right now it's just a matter of going before their committee. And again, there seems to be zero pushback with what we've asked for. It seems reasonable to them, I'm told.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, thanks for the explanation. The one thing you could do is on the stone bridge, you could just avoid running equipment over it and just work the road from both ends in. Just avoid going over it with equipment.
Yeah. I mean, I think if it was just pedestrians, the stone bridge is really not much of it's morally an aesthetic type of repair.
Correct.
So. All right. Thank you, everybody. So I love this. I will make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting at 7:49 p.m. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right. Motion carries 5-0. Thanks, everybody. I think this was a record.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
We got a lot done.